The meeting will now come to order. Welcome to the April 1st, 2021 meeting of the City of Raleigh Appearance Commission. My name is Corey Bates and I am chair of the commission. The Raleigh Appearance Commission is a public body appointed by the City Council that exercises both advisory and quasi-judicial functions. The Appearance Commission's responsibilities relate to zoning and other land use matters, as well as the visual quality and aesthetic characteristics of the city. The items on today's agenda are requests for design alternates from the city's Unified Development Ordinance. When hearing requests for design alternates, the Appearance Commission sits as a quasi-judicial body and conducts a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing on the request. The process for hearing quasi-judicial requests is governed by the state law and the city's UDO. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our attorney to explain the process for the hearing and hearing these items, and to conduct the evidentiary hearing on today's design alternate requests. Ms. Catherine Hill.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Hill and I'm the attorney for the Raleigh Appearance Commission. As the chair stated, the Appearance Commission is going to conduct quasi-judicial evidentiary hearings on the request for design alternates from the UDO. When acting as a quasi-judicial body, the Appearance Commission acts as a type of court that assures that the due process rights of the parties are protected. Since today's meeting is being conducted remotely, in addition to general quasi-judicial rules, today's hearing is also going to be conducted in accordance with state statutes that allow for remote quasi-judicial evidentiary hearings during the current COVID-19 state of emergency. So I'll quickly summarize the procedures and requirements that we're going to follow today. First, all witnesses must be sworn in. Because of this remote format, individuals who sign up to speak, as well as city staff participants, have already signed a written oath form. Their oath will be reaffirmed on the record as they testify today. The participants have also already provided written consent to today's meeting. So we'll start with a staff presentation and report. A staff member from Urban Design Center will introduce the request. Since these are all transportation related, then a staff member from the Transportation Department will be here to provide background information as well regarding the request. As a reminder, the standards that the applicant must meet to be granted the design alternate are in the UDO. They're also in the staff report and in the applicant's application. The standards will be discussed by staff and the applicant throughout the hearing, and the burden is on the applicant to provide competent material and substantial evidence as to each standard in order to be granted the request. So following staff, the applicant will be acknowledged to present their witnesses in their case. We will acknowledge the attorney for the applicant first as their point person. And following the applicant, any opponents will be given the opportunity to speak. The applicant will be given the opportunity as well for a rebuttal and a closing statement. And when all testimony is complete, we will close the evidentiary hearing. The commission members will deliberate and vote. And again, as a reminder, your decision will be then prepared with written findings of fact and conclusions of law after the meeting, and that will be incorporated into your meeting minutes for your next meeting that you will approve. So with all that, we can go ahead and start. I guess, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and just call this case number, and then you can ask the applicant what they want to do. The first case is 519 Edenton Street. Design alternate DA2 2021. And I believe Worth Mills is going to be the attorney representing this case. If you want to ask Mr. Mills what his client would like to, if they would like to proceed.
Okay, Mr. Mills, yeah, knowing that we do have 8 people, you would be required to have all 8 vote in favor of your case tonight. So you do have the option of moving forward with the case, knowing that all 8 members would need to vote in favor, or you can hold this off until a future meeting.
Good afternoon, this is Worth Mills. Yes, seeing as how we would need unanimous approval today, we would request that DA 221 be deferred to the next Appearance Commission hearing date.
So, Mr. We would need to state a date certain in order to, so you don't have to re-advertise the case again, since we've opened the case. I would, defer to the chair and Carter as to whether that would be your next appearance commission meeting or your next, what you guys have scheduled as your quasi judicial meeting, which is the first one. But regardless, I would state the date on the record so that we don't have to have an advertisement issue again.
And is that next?
Corey, this is Carter. You don't have anything on your agenda for the 15th right now, so there are no administrative alternate cases, so you wouldn't be mixing the two different types, just to let you know.
Okay. So, yeah, so I am happy to conduct this on the next meeting, which would be the 15th of April. If that would work for the applicant.
Yes, sir, that does.
Okay. That'd be 2 weeks from tonight. Ms. Hill, do we need to vote on that, or is that okay just to go ahead and proceed in that?
You know, I think it's probably okay, but why don't you just go ahead and really quickly vote? The clerk can just call out, since we are remote, and make sure everybody's on the record saying that they're fine with that continuance to that date.
Okay, so the motion is that, yeah, we have a continuance until the 15th of April. There he is. I just lost you for a minute. People are moving around. Mr. Pacini, could you go ahead and call out and ask for in
Yes.
favor?
Do we have a second to that motion, Chairman?
Do we have a second for that?
I second that motion.
Okay, so that's Adam.
Thank you.
Adam
Thank
Walters,
you.
second.
Okay. Okay, on the motion to defer to the April 15th meeting, Chairman Bates,
Yes.
Commissioner Eberly,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Hogan,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaskins, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Levitas,
Yeah.
thank you. Commissioner Tuttle
Yes.
and Commissioner Walters,
Yes.
thank you. That makes 8. Thank you.
Thank you,
And you would have gotten a yes from Chris Roberts too.
Mr. Roberts.
Okay, so do we still have 8?
Apologies, I missed you. Sorry about that.
No worries.
You're still at 8 people, right? 8 members. Nobody new came in just now?
Yes, we're still at 8. I just skipped over Mr. Roberts. My apologies.
That's correct. Yes, we're still at 8.
Okay, well then you can move on to the second case, which is 5825 North Hills Drive. North Hills Investment Properties Partners LLC is the property owner, and this is design alternate DA 3-2021. So I would ask the applicant the same question. I'm not sure if Jennifer Ashton, I believe, is the attorney for this case. I would ask either her or Michael Birch, but I would start with Ms. Ashton.
Yes, so Ms. Ashton, it's the same as the last, knowing that we have 8 members on the commission this evening. All would need to vote in favor if we came to a vote this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is Jennifer Ashton from Longleaf Law Partners. We are fine proceeding tonight. We understand that there are only 8 members, but we think that because city staff and our team are in agreement on this, that we're okay to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I would start with swearing in the staff participants. Carter, I believe this is your case. So, Mr. Chair, if you want to call Carter and then Daniel King for transportation and read them both the oath.
Okay. So, Mr. Carter Pettibone, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Daniel King, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, and then if you have 3, in addition to the attorneys, you have 3 witnesses signed up, and I would go ahead to make it easy. You can go ahead and swear those in as well.
Okay. So I will call Mr. Ben Williams. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Do we have Ben?
I
Okay,
don't
let's-
see him on the list, but I think
don't
as
either.
long as it's up to the applicant, if they're not sworn in now and they don't need them for their case, then it's fine. It's just if he does testify, we need to swear him in.
As long as Tommy Craven is present for us, we're good to go.
Okay. We also have Joseph. Is Joseph on the line? Lassiter?
What? I'm here.
Okay. Joseph, just in case, I'll go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
Okay. And Tommy Craven, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. And Ben Williams is also here. You had us muted a minute ago when you were asking for him. But
Okay. Sorry about that.
no, not a problem.
Ben, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Ben.
One moment, please, Mr. Chairman. I need each of the witnesses to give me their address, please.
Yeah, so can we go ahead and start with Mr. Williams?
Yeah, address is 3803B Computer Drive, Suite 104, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27609.
Thank you. And Joseph Lassiter?
7305 Spyglass Way, Raleigh, 27615.
Okay, and Tommy Craven?
Also 3803B Computer Drive, Suite 104, 27609.
Thank you. Great.
Okay, everybody's sworn in, so you can go ahead and Carter Pettibone can go ahead and start with his presentation.
Thank you. The address is 5825 North Hills Drive, approximately the intersection of North Hills Drive and West Millbrook Road. The applicant requests the following design alternates for the portion of the project that affirm the easement recorded in book 1678, page 107, Wake County Registry, as further described in the map entitled right of way for 30-inch water main from Six Forks Road to Shelley Road at June 18th, 1965, and recorded in Book of Maps 1965, page 215, Wake County Registry. Design alternate to UDO section 8.4.1.1B and 1 and 2, which requires the project meet street type and streetscape standards of articles 8.4 and 8.5. A 13.5-foot centerline design alternate to UDO section 8.5.3A and B, which requires 27-foot back of curb to back of curb width, or 13.5 from back of curb to centerline width. A 5-foot design alternate to UDO section 8.5.3.A.C and 8.5.8.C.C, which requires a 5-foot utility placement easement, a 2-foot design alternate to UDO section 8.5.3.A.D and C and D, which requires a 2-foot maintenance strip, a 6-foot design alternate to UDO section 8.5.3.A.E and 8.5.8.C.E, which requires a 6-foot sidewalk, a 6-foot design alternate to UDO section 8.5.3.8.F and 8.5.8.C.F, which requires a 6-foot planting strip, planting area, a design alternate to all general requirements for UDO section 8.5.3A and 8.5.8C, so that walkways, plantings, and tree spacing shall not be required, and a 20-foot or 50-foot design alternate to, or 20-foot to 50-foot design alternate to UDO section 8.5.8.C.B, which requires a 20-foot to 50-foot building setback in order to construct a 97-unit residential multifamily condominium development on an 5.52-acre property zone, RX4, parking limited conditional use. The zoning, as I mentioned before, the location, and so I'm happy to answer any questions or hand it off to Daniel King to answer any questions. The applicant's here to make a presentation as well.
Okay, does any commission member have a question for Carter? If not, then I would, Daniel King is here as well from Transportation, if he has anything to add.
I do not have anything to add at this time, but I'm certainly here to answer questions if the commission has any after the presentation by the applicant.
Okay, so you can turn to the applicant's case now. Jennifer Ashton is the attorney for the applicant. So Ms. Ashton, you can proceed with calling your witnesses and presenting your case. And as a reminder, your application and exhibits were provided ahead of time or in board docs, but please admit them as needed into the record.
Thank you, Catherine. Again, for the record, my name is Jennifer Ashton. I'm with Longleaf Law Partners. My address is 4509 Creedmoor Road, Suite 302, Raleigh, North Carolina. As Ms. Hill indicated, we did submit materials for the commission's review. I'd ask at this time that they be officially admitted into the record as evidence.
We will absolutely admit them to the record for evidence. Thank you.
Thank you. And I am joined on the presentation by the development team for this project. I have Joe Lassiter from Pinellas Corp. He is the developer. I have Tommy Craven, who is the civil engineer, and Ben Williams, who is the senior project manager. So are my slides available to the commission to see? Thank you so much. Okay, so Carter had to read a long list of design alternate requests, but this is actually a pretty simple request. We have, and you'll hear some testimony from Tommy Craven in just a few minutes, but we have a very old right-of-way easement that runs to the south of our development, and it was supposed to be for West Millbrook Road when that roadway was going to be redesigned in the future. When the roadway was actually reconfigured, they decided not to use this old right-of-way. They realigned West Millbrook Road at a different location. So we have this holdover that just doesn't serve any right-of-way purpose anymore. We have talked to the city transportation staff, both Tara Hofferth and Bradley Kimbrell, and they suggested that we pursue this design alternate to kind of eliminate all of the pavement and streetscape requirements for this old right-of-way. The city does still classify it as a neighborhood street, neighborhood yield street type, but transportation has told us that they would not want a new roadway to actually be constructed in this location, given one, the existing intersection of West Millbrook Road and North Hills, but also two, given the close proximity of Shelley Lake. So with that as being our introduction, I would like to turn it over to Tommy Craven from Priest Craven. He is our civil engineer, and he can run you through more specifics about the project. Tommy?
Thank you. If we can go to the next slide. This illustrates the existing conditions, just to sort of get everyone oriented. The tracks that our client has under control and are currently subject to a site plan application are outlined in yellow. The existing public right-of-way easement dedicated with Book of Maps 1965, page 215, is shown in red immediately south of this property. North Hills Drive is the public street that's running north and south, just east of the property. And West Millbrook is the public street that's running east and west, just south of the property. You can see how that right-of-way of West Millbrook comes into the intersection to create a horribly misshapen 5-point sort of intersection if it were to be ever be constructed. We can go to the next slide now, which will be a close view of it. If we can go, there we go. This kind of zeroes in on the intersection itself and shows the problems that would be created by trying to tie or actually complete this as a public street. You can't make a safe intersection at that point of intersection, and there's no place to go to the west because of the construction of Shelley Lake. Okay, we can move on to the next picture, please. This gives you sort of the street view of the intersection. You're on the south side of West Millbrook, looking north up North Hills Drive. Okay, we can go to the next one, please. This is a portion of the site plan that's, again, currently under review. And with the blue arrow at the south end of that, it's illustrating how the existing right-of-way of West Millbrook aligns with both our property and the intersection. It's a very unusual situation. Our site plan stands on its own without the right-of-way as far as access to North Hills. We're also maintaining an existing cross-access easement to other property owners that is part of it. All that's covered by the site plan, and our site plan does not rely on this West Millbrook right-of-way to the south in any way, shape, or form. Can move on to the next slide, please. Again, the same picture, just a little enlarged view of it. We can go on, please. The justifications for the request, I can read through these and state them for you. Justification 1, the approved design alternate meets the intent of UDO Articles 8.4 and 8.5, which relate to new and existing streets. The intent of Articles 8.4 and 8.5 is to provide street types and streetscapes for public streets to reflect the character and context of the area, and to provide adequate travel lanes for vehicles, cyclists, and pedestrians. We believe this intent is met, given that the right-of-way will not be developed as a public street because it cannot be connected to the existing intersection and cannot be extended due to the location of the emergency spillway for Shelley Lake. Therefore, there is no need to provide travel lanes and streetscape improvements in this instance. Justification number 2. The approved design alternate does not increase congestion or compromise safety. The elimination of travel lanes and streetscapes within right-of-way easement will increase vehicular and pedestrian safety, given close proximity of the intersection at West Millbrook Road and North Hills Drive. So granting this design alternate actually improves the safety for the traveling public. Justification 3, the approved design alternate does not create additional maintenance responsibilities for the city. Despite the wording of that, since no new public street is being proposed, the design alternative here creates less or creates no additional maintenance responsibilities for the city. Justification number 4, the approved design alternate has been designed and certified by a professional engineer. That's my role in this. The design alternate has been designed and certified by Thomas F. Craven, PE, with Priest Craven and Associates. Yes, if we can go to the next slide, please. I'm sorry. Justification number 5, the approved design alternate will not adversely impact stormwater collection and conveyance. No new public street with accompanying impervious areas being proposed, so the design alternative here will have no impact on stormwater runoff. And number 6, the design alternate is deemed reasonable due to the physical environment and/or size of the site or intensity of development. Since it is not physically feasible to develop the public street within the right-of-way easement, given the existing intersection at West Millbrook Road and North Hills Drive to the east and Shelley Lake to the west, you can see that the physical environment greatly restricts the construction of the road and justifies the design alternate. With that, that's the end of our testimony. Jennifer, Ben Williams, Joe Laster, and myself are all available to answer any questions that the Appearance Commission may have.
Okay, does any commission member have a question for the applicant or any of the applicant's witnesses?
I have a question just to be absolutely clear. The only thing that we're talking about is that public right-of-way easement that was highlighted in orange a couple slides back. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is Jennifer Ashton. And we are actually only talking about to the center line of that right-of-way easement as it runs along our property line. So in the future, as additional developments come in and are going through the site planning process, they will then have to address their section of the right-of-way. So you may be seeing this request come in at a different point in time for other portions of the property.
Thank you.
Any more questions for the applicant? Okay, there's nobody else that signed up in support or opposition for the case. So I would ask if staff, either transportation or Carter, has anything else to add.
Hey, Catherine, it's Daniel. The only thing I would just reiterate is the statements that Tommy made about the intersection conflict that would be created with the construction of this roadway and what is an old right-of-way that was not and is not intended to be used would create significant problems with the construction of that roadway.
Nothing to add.
Okay, last chance for any questions from board members before you close the evidentiary hearing. All right.
I have one. This is Corey. Daniel, just to be 100% clear for everybody. So there are no other easements within this right-of-way dedication or anything that we need to be concerned about or plan to be in this that staff is in.
No, it truly is a remnant right-of-way that was intended for a potential alignment that did not occur and has since been cut off with the construction of Shelley Lake.
Right.
And the intersection, if that were to be connected, would create a significant safety and logistical issue at that location.
Okay. Thank you. All right, with that, I will go ahead and close the evidentiary hearing if there are no other questions and for commission deliberation and discussion. Anybody have any comments? I mean, to me, it seems pretty straightforward, seems pretty cut and dry. I think all the findings that the intent has been met, but open for other discussion if there is any.
No, I would agree with that. I'd say for all the reasons presented, I would have no problem approving this.
All right.
I agree.
Great.
Jokingly, I'd like to make a condition that the city of Raleigh has to abandon this easement as a part of this approval, but I don't think we can do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and give a motion to approve as noted.
And Mr. Chair, before you vote, I can wait for a second if you want first, but I need to do a quick cleanup matter before you vote.
Okay, go ahead.
So under this new statute, some of you I can't see on screen. If you are not, we can't visually see you, then you need to state your name. I know the chair's, Mr. Ralph's gonna call your name, but then please state your name before you vote. We have to do it under this new statute. The other thing is during this hearing, or maybe at the start of it, you had a new commission member join. Megan Beach is, and I can't tell, Ms. Beach, are you able to visually see the presentation? Do you have visual of the meeting?
We can't
Yes,
hear you,
I
but we
do.
can. There we go.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's good. Since we're quasi-judicial, I wanted to confirm that before we voted. So with that, just make sure to state your name if you're not visually seen on screen.
Thank you for that, Ms.
I'll
Hill.
second the
Also,
motion.
okay, thank you for the second. And that was Chris. I was going to ask Ms. Beach if she was, I saw you come in, but I did not see when you came in. So I just want to make sure you were available for the entire. If you were not, we can go ahead and just, vote without you for this.
Yes, I did see the presentation.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion. We have a second by Chris. So Mr. Pacini, if you could go ahead and call each member's name for a vote.
I need a moment to figure out when Ms. Beach came in, so I can actually find out when she actually joined the meeting. Moment, please. I need 1 moment.
Okay.
Okay, I had to find a way to justify adding her vote.
We can always put her at the end if it's okay. If there are any opposition, if everybody votes in favor, we may not even need her. We would have our 8.
If I may.
The question is whether or not Ms. Beach she has to vote based on the evidence that was presented. So the question is whether or not she saw the evidence presented. So really only she knows that. So I think you could, she said she saw the presentation, but Ms. Beach, you can clarify for the record that you saw the applicant and staff's presentation.
I saw everything past about 4:46. I think that's when I logged in. I'm not muted. Okay.
All right, then. Here we go. So on the motion to approve, Chairman Bates?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Beach?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Eberly?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Gaskins.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Hogan.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Levitas.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Tuttle.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Walters.
Yes.
Thank you. That makes 9.
All right. You can move on to the next case, which is 901 St. Albans Drive. The Reserve at North Hills LLC is the property owner. This is design alternate DA 4-2021. You do have 9 members now, so you don't have to ask the applicant about continuing, but I believe this applicant had previously indicated they would like to ask for a continuance. So I would go ahead and ask that off the start. The applicant's attorney is Jennifer Ashton.
Yes, Ms. Ashton. I understood the same, that you were going to ask for a continuance. Is that the case, or would you like to go ahead and proceed?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Jennifer Ashton for the record. We were going to ask for a continuance until your May 6th hearing. We need to address a few outstanding issues with the city transportation staff, and we wanted some time to do that before we came and made our presentation to you.
Okay, so that would be, our first meeting in May. You're saying May 6th?
Yes.
Okay. Carter, do you see any issue with that? I believe we don't. Is Carter here? Yeah, there he is.
I do not. I think we may have no cases for that meeting either.
Okay, so we have a clear agenda. So yeah, so I think that is fine if you'd like to proceed in that direction.
I would make a motion and vote on it just for that date.
So I'll motion that we continue case number 9. Evidentiary hearing number 3, 901 St. Albans Drive. We ask for, we continue that until the May 6th meeting, 2021. I have a second.
I'll second that. That is Chris Roberts.
So we have a motion, a second from Chris Roberts. Mr. Piccini, if you could go ahead and call out our names, if you would, so be so kind.
Gladly. On the motion to defer to May 6th, Chairman Bates?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Beach?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Eberly?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Gaskins?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Hogan?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Levitas?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Tuttle?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Walters?
Yes.
Thank you. That makes 9.
Thank you.
Okay, you can go on to your last case on the agenda, 1421 South New Hope Road. Marlowe and Moy LLC is the property owner. Design alternate DA 5 2021. You've already sworn in from staff Daniel King. I believe Lee Stevens is going to be the planner for this, the urban design. I get you guys confused for this matter. So Lee needs to be sworn in.
Okay. Lee, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And then you have 3 witnesses signed up with the applicant's case if you want to go ahead and swear them in too.
Yes, so I have Stuart Marlowe, Howard Moy, and Peter Nosson. If you would go ahead when I state your name and let me know that you're actually here and state your address for the record, then I will swear you in each individually. So Stuart Marlowe.
I don't have Stuart Marlowe on the line.
Okay. Howard Moy.
Here.
Could you go ahead and state your address for the record?
Howard Moy, 314 West Millbrook, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27609.
Thank you. Mr. Moy, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, and Peter Nosson?
Yes, here. Address 221 North Salem Street, Apex 27502.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think you can turn it over to Lee to start with the staff presentation.
Great. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. Just give me one moment to get my screen back up.
While she's doing that, we do not have any opponents. Is that correct, Ms. Hill?
There's none signed up.
Okay, correct. Thank you.
Okay, this is for 1421 South New Hope Road. The applicant is requesting the following design alternates: a 31,080-foot design alternate from the 2,500-foot maximum block perimeter requirement set forth in section 8.3.2A of the UDO that results in a block perimeter of 33,580 feet and a design alternate for relief from the stub street requirement of UDO section 8.3.4C to extend Eva May Drive to the property's western boundary at South New Hope Road, in order to subdivide 7 single-family lots on an 8.52-acre property zoned residential 10 conditional use located at 1421 South New Hope Road. And this is a picture to show the zoning. And now I'd invite, if transportation staff have any comments regarding this case, I'd invite them to share those now.
Thanks, Lee. I do not have any comments at this time, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have after the applicant's presentation.
Thank you, Daniel. And the UDC has no comments other than that to share as well.
Actually, this is Carter Pettibone. I just wanted to let you know that the advertisement for this case went out with different numbers for the block perimeter than is discussed now. We wanted to make mention of that before the case began here.
That's right. Thank you, Carter.
And you've stated the correct numbers, or I guess the applicant can do that as well for the record.
Yes, in my staff report, I have the updated numbers, the correct numbers.
Yeah, and I'm also happy to explain why those numbers needed to be updated if there are any questions about that.
Okay, does any commission member have a question for either UDC or transportation staff? If not, you can go ahead and call the applicant's case. Worth Mills is the attorney for the applicant. So Mr. Mills, you can proceed with presenting your case and witnesses. And again, you've submitted your materials ahead of time in board docs, but please submit them into the record as need be.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Worth Mills. And I just wanted to confirm that we are now at a simple majority needed with 9 members.
No, under state statute says that for all quasi-judicial matters, you have to have a majority of the commission members vote in favor. There's 15 commission members. It's not a majority of who's present. It's the majority of the commission itself. So that's why our number is 8. So you would need 8 votes in favor. And I believe you still have 9 commission members present.
That's correct.
Understood. We can move forward today and present, but again, I would just ask that our materials be admitted into the record.
We will absolutely admit them to the record. Thank you.
All right. So again, my name is Worth Mills on behalf of the property owner who is requesting 2 design alternates for its proposed subdivision at 1421 South New Hope Road. Again, it's a 1,150 foot design, or excuse me, it's a 31,080 foot design alternate from the 2,500 maximum block perimeter requirement, which would result in a block perimeter of 33,580 feet. And we are also requesting relief from the stub street requirement of UDO section 8.3.4.c in order to not be required to extend Eva May Drive to the western boundary line. I've got a presentation that was submitted. If we could pull that up, that would be great. Thank you. If you could go to the next slide, please. All right, so again, these design alternates are reasonable for 2 reasons. The first, the physical environment, which includes the existing Duke power easement and the existing topography on the site, make compliance with these block perimeter and stub street standards, as well as the stormwater regulations that we are held to physically infeasible. And second, compliance with both of these UDO regulations, as well as compliance with stormwater regulations, is not reasonable given the size of the proposed development, which is but 7 single-family homes. I'll note that the proposed cul-de-sac and 7 single-family homes would not create any safety concerns or create any traffic congestion for the existing neighborhood. The cul-de-sac does not conflict with any roadway construction projects. And lastly, the requests meet the intent of section 8.3 of the UDO by creating that safe and convenient access for those new homeowners. I'll now turn the presentation over to Peter Knassen, the project's engineer, to review our physical constraints and how we arrived at the cul-de-sac design. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get started here on this exhibit number 3, which identifies the property outlined in red. You see South New Hope Road to the north provides our frontage. And in the southwest corner of the site, you can see existing Eva May Drive, where that basically stubs to our property. Our requirement to meet transportation stub or through street requirements was to extend Eva May Drive through our site and to make a connection to South New Hope Road. Also on this exhibit I just want to identify the green lines that basically bisect the site from north to south. That is an existing 200-foot wide Duke Energy transmission line easement, which basically is the constraint that I'll get into as we get further into my presentation. But this here orients the site. If we can go to the next slide. This exhibit is the existing conditions plan that was submitted as part of our subdivision plan. Again, this identifies Bethel Park 2. The outline in orange is the 8.5 acre site. You can see Eva May Drive, again, existing stub to the southwest, or excuse me, southeast corner of the site. The 200-foot Duke transmission line easement is shown as it bisects north-south through the property, and then also the frontage along South New Hope Road. This slide shows the existing topography on the property. You can see basically a ridge line high point, which is right along the right-of-way of South New Hope Road, and the grade in the topography drops from basically that right-of-way to the south of the site. And that's important because any kind of storm drainage, or excuse me, any kind of stormwater that is required in meeting the city code requirements, basically with drainage going from north to south, any kind of stormwater structure is going to need to be located basically along that southern boundary, basically in that triangular portion on the south and east side of the Duke transmission easement, where basically the Eva May stub is. We can go to the next slide. This slide here presents three alignment options for Eva May Drive, extending from existing to South New Hope Road. The alignment in green is actually the alignment that we showed on our subdivision plan for Bethel Park as a whole, phases 1 to 3. That alignment was sent with a profile that is shown in the profile portion. We sent this to Duke, Bruce Pate with Duke Energy, to review for the crossing and encroachment. And Duke said that we are not allowed to place any fill across their easement in any kind of road construction. Their ground to wire clearance is already at its minimum, so they will not allow any fill. That is the constraint that we have to deal with for a vertical design of any extension of Eva May Drive across their easement. So what we've done is we've looked at three options. You can see the one in green as well as blue and pink. And in the profile section, you can see again existing ground profiles, which are outlined in green, blue, and pink. And on the left-hand side at station 00, as you move there to the left, I'm showing the existing grade of Eva May Drive at 4.5%. So the extension in a vertical design of Eva May Drive to the existing ground contours of what are shown in green and blue, you can see that a sag would need to be in the vertical profile in order to be at grade where we cross the transmission lines. And those are shown in the profile. You can see transmission lines limits in red. That is for the blue and the pink alignment. That's basically showing the crossing. In the transmission line, which is darker in gray, is for the green. So basically within the limits that are shown, if you project that down to the vertical existing ground, basically we cannot add any fill within those limits. So basically what this is showing is in the green, in the blue, with creating any kind of sag, it negates those two alignments. So really the only option to really review is the one that's in the pink alignment. If we can go to the next slide. What we were asked to do by the transportation group, since this was the alignment that basically can work in terms of a vertical profile, is to provide an actual design of the Eva May Drive extension. This is that exhibit. We show the plan view of the corridor of Eva May Drive, where we connect to existing out to South New Hope Road. And then we're also showing a vertical profile using the geometric standards that are required. And you can see the finished profile by the darker line. And also you can see the dash line is existing grade. So you can see out on the right-hand side of the profile around Station 8 +00, that is South New Hope Road. And you can see the rise in the existing ground. And when you project out what's required as a 5% grade on the Eva May Drive design, basically you've got a 15-foot cut at that portion in order to build that section of the road. And then as you move down towards Eva May Drive, again, you can see the 4.5% grade where we tie in. So this vertical profile, again, it shows at the crossing of the transmission easement, you can see that the vertical profile is below existing ground. So we're meeting the requirement from Duke Energy. And again, we're meeting the requirements of vertical design standards per the City of Raleigh Transportation Street Design Manual. You can see also we've added utilities in sewer, water, and the storm drainage that would be required for this extension. And again, as you look towards the Eva May Drive connection to existing, you can see where I've shown a possible SCM location. That would be the location of a stormwater control measure to meet the City of Raleigh stormwater requirements. And again, based on the topo that we talked about earlier, all the drainage is going to be from essentially South New Hope Road towards that SCM location. If you can zoom in a little bit on that SCM location, I really want to identify there where our problem really lies. The issue that we're having is not that we can't meet the vertical design and cross the transmission line at grade. The issue is that we can't meet stormwater requirements because of the grade of the road. We can't get the storm drainage to work with a stormwater control measure. And that's shown by, there's really two avenues of meeting that requirement. At that location of the SCM, we could either drain the water to the south, and you can see where I have spot elevations that we had shot with a surveyor, and they vary between about 221.9, 222. That's existing ground. When you look at the catch basin number 4, the invert, we're around 221.2, and then at the flared end section into the SCM, we're at 221. So that storm drainage is below the ground surface that we can drain to if we were, to the south. So stormwater control measure won't work. The other option was to look at existing storm drainage within Eva May Drive And that is shown by, again, survey data on the existing catch basin, which is shown, just off the property line. It's at elevation top of 221.38. And then we're showing a new invert in of 217.6. That would be the lowest possible connection to that catch basin in order to extend to our site. We have constraints. If you head towards the property line, we have a sewer manhole with an existing 8-inch sewer main that we need to cross. So we come up to catch basin number 6, and that lowest possible invert is around 220. Again, as you go over to catch basin number 5 in the flared end section coming into number 5, the lowest possible elevation is 220.8 in order to drain from that SCM. So again, when you compare catch basin number 4 at 221 versus 220.8, again, there's no grade to make any kind of stormwater structure work. I can get into a lot more about this if I need to, but this exhibit is just showing that we cannot make stormwater work based on vertical profile that's required to cross the Duke transmission easement. We can go to the next slide. So our proposal is to end Eva May Drive in a cul-de-sac. That allows the grade, that 4.5% grade of Eva May Drive to continue into that cul-de-sac, which raises the grade. We will have to do filling to build that cul-de-sac, as well as to grade around many of the lots. However, when I raise that grade, I will be allowed to meet stormwater requirements because we're going to be generating topo by raising the grade. So this is basically our proposal and request is to end Eva Bay Drive in a cul-de-sac. We can go to the next slide. This slide here shows again Bethel Park 2, the site outlined in red with the resulting block perimeter that will exist without the Eva May Drive extension to South New Hope Road. That block perimeter is roughly 33,500 feet, just to give you a length. If we can go to the next slide. This exhibit is provided, the city transportation group wanted us to review an alternative, looking at any kind of downstream or down gradient storm drainage that we might be able to tie to other than the catch basin that I showed on our vertical profile. This is showing a storm drainage extension to an existing catch basin that is roughly 200 feet to the east of our property line. Basically, this is showing that if we were to connect to that catch basin and lower the storm drainage pipe such that bringing it to our site to meet any kind of stormwater, basically we're crossing 3 existing property owners. We would be removing curb. We would be removing their driveways and basically, my word, tearing up that street in order to make any kind of connection. I have not reviewed this for conflicts with existing utilities, that being the services that are to each of these houses, or with any kind of other utilities that may be with dry utilities such as power, cable, gas, and those kind of things. But we just see this as a hardship and not a viable option based on having to close the road, having the impact on basically these 6 or 7 existing property owners who will not be able to access their property if we do make this extension. And I would assume that if we were required to make this extension, that it would be in a reimbursable expense from the city of Raleigh. But given the hardship, given the impact on existing property owners, I just don't view this as a viable option. So again, just in closing, the constraint we have is on the crossing of the Duke transmission easement, which isn't allowed to be filled, and the vertical strength of the design of Eva May Drive, that extension crossing, is causing an issue with our ability to meet the City of Raleigh stormwater requirement in order to provide a stormwater structure within close proximity to Eva May Drive existing where it needs to be located. So based on that constraint, we're requesting this design alternate to allow the cul-de-sac. And if there's any questions, I will certainly answer them. If we need to get into more detail about design issues, I'm certainly willing to do that as well.
Thank you, Peter. This is Worth Mills again. Just to conclude, I think Peter did an excellent and thorough job in laying out our constraints, laying out the options that were reviewed, and certainly a lot of discussion and planning has gone into the ultimate cul-de-sac design. But again, with the physical environments that we have, both in terms of the power easement and the topography, coupled with the size of the development, which is again 7 single-family homes, we don't feel that compliance with all 3 of those requirements, with it being the block perimeter, the stub street, and then ultimately stormwater, that would be a reasonable requirement. And for that reason, we ask that you approve these 2 design alternates. And again, Peter and I are available for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Okay. Any commission members have questions for the applicant or any of their witnesses?
Catherine, I do have one question for Peter. You mentioned in your presentation, you've got some fill to raise that cul-de-sac up. And I want to make sure I understand your intent from a stormwater standpoint would be to shed that water from that impervious surface to existing catch basins that are further down Eva May Drive. Is that correct?
Yes, it would eventually tie to that existing catch basin, any kind of storm drainage that we install within the cul-de-sac itself. I've looked at the stormwater requirements for this cul-de-sac, and the way I'm planning on meeting it is by doing underground pipe storage. I plan to collect runoff basically coming from the north to the south with yard inlets along the back of lots 76 and 77. And by collecting that stormwater and doing pipe storage, I can meet the pre-equal post requirements required by the City of Raleigh stormwater manual. As far as meeting the nitrogen, we can do a buy down on that. It works numbers wise. We have so much unusable property because of the transmission easement, which is basically, I measured that, it's about 3 acres of area out of an 8.5 acre site. So the nitrogen is able to work because we have such a large unusable portion that will remain undisturbed and pervious.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions?
This is Corey. I just wanted to make sure that as not all commission members read plans every day, that they're clear that some of those slides were 180 degrees the other way. And then the north arrow was actually flipped on one of them. So just wanted to make sure everybody was real clear with that before we proceed. But no questions for Mr. Knosson at this time.
Okay, well, if no commission member has any questions for the applicant, then there's nobody else signed up to speak in either support or opposition. So I would just ask staff, transportation, and UDC if they have anything else to add.
The UDC does not have anything further to add.
Nor does transportation at this time.
Daniel, could I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
So Bethel Park 2 was an improved site plan by the city at some point with the connection as designed, or did someone draw this connection over to New Hope and it got approved and now they're coming back saying we can't actually do this? Or can you clarify that part for me?
Sure. And yes, that did happen. At the preliminary stage of plan review, though, oftentimes the details of this type of engineering design are not fully vetted. And that's normal because you're really looking at the time of preliminary of receiving entitlements for your property, not completing a full design. At the point that they got to designing this is where they determined that there was a true constraint from an engineering standpoint.
Okay. And the idea, and just in terms of block perimeter and connectivity, is to connect at the same place that Bethel Park Drive, and it would connect on South New Hope Road. Is that correct? So that there would be an intersection there?
Yeah, so the intent of the block perimeter standards are to create an interconnected network, which is the intent of which is to avoid dead ends and cul-de-sacs. So the extension through to to South New Hope would be what would meet that standard. In this case, again, Peter and his team have shown a lot of reasons why they have a challenge associated with that. And so that's what's before the commission now.
Yeah, I guess my question was, is it intended to intersect South New Hope where Bethel Park Drive is intended to intersect? Is there supposed to be a crossing there at South New Hope over to Bethel Park?
Okay, I understand what you're asking. Yeah, no, there's not necessarily. South New Hope is intended long-term to be a median divided facility anyway. So the crossing is not critical there. It's really the connectivity back to the roadway is what would be meeting the standard. But the divided roadway with a median would eliminate any direct crossing.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any more questions for staff or the applicant? And I would say, just ask Mr. Mills if you guys had it, since staff added some more. Do you have anything else to add?
No, ma'am.
All righty. Well, if there's no more questions and no more testimony, then you can close the evidentiary hearing. And then, Mr. Chair, you guys can deliberate and vote. And again, remember to either state your name or turn your camera on when you vote.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Yeah, so I'll close the evidentiary hearing, open it up for commission deliberation. Anybody like to kick this one off? And maybe Carter or Lee, if you could just put the intent or the findings back on the screen, that might be helpful too.
I can, just give me a minute to navigate back to that part.
Okay.
I think all that like the main thing I see here is that it's not really like going through all the trouble of connecting back to South New Hope is not really improving connectivity, especially if there's not going to be an intersection in the future and it's going to be divided. There's not all that, it's not serving connectivity for all that many houses, even though it is a large block perimeter. I think that's a takeaway for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I agree with that as well. And just, you know, we're talking seven single family homes. It's not a huge, yeah, we're not, you know, that subdivision works as is. We're adding 7. It's not like that block perimeter is going to all of a sudden make it work.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, this gets caught before it gets approved and they come up with a different design, but that didn't happen. So I think, with the case as it's been presented, it doesn't make sense to force a connection.
So Leah's put up the showing the findings if you want to take a look through those. But I believe that just looking through these that they, and the work that they've done, that it's pretty straightforward to me. Doesn't conflict with any of the built roadways, with the any construction projects, doesn't increase congestion. It seems like a reasonable request. With that, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve as it was brought in front of us today. And we can take those findings away, so we can see all the commission members. Thank you.
I'll second that. Corey.
That was a second by Adam. Any other discussion? Being none, I'll ask if we could go ahead and do a vote. Ralph, could you go ahead and do that for us, please?
Yes, sir. On the
Thank
motion
you.
to approve, Chairman Bates?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Walters?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Beach?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Everly?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Gaskins?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Hogan?
Yes.
Commissioner Levitas?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Tuttle?
Yes.
Thank you. That makes 9.
Thank you for that.
And it's your meeting. I think
All
that's
right.
your hearings.
With that being complete, we'll go ahead and close the business portion of the meeting and we'll open it up for, first of all, I guess I would like to go ahead and welcome Mr. Marcus Tuttle to our commission. He said he was going to be quiet tonight. He spoke up, which I'm proud of him for that. I appreciate that. So we can go ahead and welcome Marcus to the team here, and appreciate you coming and joining us. And maybe if you would like, if you want to go ahead and just to do a little brief synopsis about yourself, just kind of let the commission know why you wanted to endure this. Maybe a little background about what you do, what your background is.
Sure. Thanks, Corey, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve on the commission. I look forward to working with everyone here. Been a Raleigh resident going on a little over 20 years now, so coming to NC State. Been in Raleigh the entire time, and I'm currently a project executive with LaChase Construction. We focus on commercial life sciences projects throughout the Triangle. Live here with my wife and son and 2 dogs that like to bark while I'm on meetings. So make sure I stay muted for that, but look forward to working with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate it. Welcome. Okay, with that, I believe we just have a couple things. Candace was not able to join us this evening, so I don't believe we have any design committee reports. But I'll turn it over to Lee. There's a couple items, I believe the Legacy Project and also the Sir Walter Raleigh Awards, if you would like to go ahead.
Yes, and I have two. Yeah, they're both very brief updates, but we still have the full budget amount to spend towards this year's Legacy project, but we need to do that before June 1st. It takes about 30 days to process payments on the city end, and our budget year ends on June 30th. So I want to make sure we've got enough time to allocate those funds however you all choose. So if anybody wants to start making suggestions of projects or how to allocate those funds this year, now's the time. And then second, I have the first Sir Walter Raleigh Awards committee meeting pending to be scheduled next Thursday, which is April 8th. So that would be at the same time that this meeting usually is, but since we don't have a meeting, I figured I'd take advantage of a time I know works pretty well for most people. So if anybody's interested, I would really like to get a list going of who to invite to that, because we need to start getting things going for a fall event, which hopefully can be in person. We'll see how things go. So right off the bat,
are we gonna have that rescheduled one next week? Is that going to get in the way of things?
For this meeting?
2 weeks we have in 2 weeks we have one quasi judicial on the 15th.
Yeah, so it'll be April 15th.
Yeah, next week is the 8th, and that is what you're proposing, right, Lee?
That's right. Yeah.
So same time, just yeah, it's kind of between the meetings.
Mm-hmm. Great, and that's all I had.
Great. Well, I appreciate that, and I do encourage people to sign up or to get involved in both the Sir Walter Raleigh and the Legacy. So I'm wondering what the best way is to go ahead and I want to give people time to think about the Legacy, but would somebody be open to kind of creating a small little subcommittee for the Legacy project? We have a pretty good amount of funding this year. I'd love to go ahead and use it in a good way. I don't know that, it'd be good if we had a small little committee that could kind of look into it and bring some recommendations back to the whole committee here. Would somebody be open to taking that on or working with Lee and Carter to don't all speak up at once.
This is Jake. I can be part of that group.
Great. Thanks, Jake.
So Jake just took on the group.
It is a group. I want to emphasize that. It's not a
That's right.
You can't have a one-person group. So somebody else speak up too.
Yeah, and just to remind people, the Legacy project, so it's a fairly new thing. We've had it 2 years. This will be our third year that we've conducted it. We worked with St. Aug's last year for a project there, and the year before we worked with we did some benches with, I'm trying to remember the name of the group.
It was Parks with Purpose.
Was it Parks with Purpose? Okay, so we had a couple benches. This year, I'd really like to, let's, we've got a little more money this year. I'd like to go ahead and let's utilize it. Let's really get involved and do something really nice for the city, for the community. So
it typically isn't a large time commitment. We may have 1 or 2 meetings, but I think most of it after we decide on a project will happen during these meetings. So it's usually a pretty light touch, if that changes anybody's mind.
I'm happy to help out with it, Martha.
Great, thanks, Martha.
Lee, did you say the budget this year is 6,000?
It's the budget is 10,000 this year.
Okay.
Lee, I can help too.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, who was that, please?
That was Adam, Walters, Martha, and Jake. And yeah, I mean, you know, not everybody has to speak up now, but you know, if you do want to get involved, I mean, the offer's open. It's so, you know,
Or if you just have ideas of projects that could be good, feel free to email those to me or to Carter.
yeah, perfect. Okay. And I believe that is really our business portion. Do we have any minutes to review?
Yes, sir, you do have the minutes from the March meeting.
I'm assuming everybody has reviewed those.
They were very thorough.
So if somebody would like to give a motion.
I'll move to approve them. It's Chris Roberts.
And I will second that. Corey Bates. We can just go ahead and ask for a voice vote. Let's say all in favor of approving the minutes. Say aye, or raise your hand so I can see. I can also see most of you except Jake.
Come on, Jake,
Corey,
raise your hand.
Corey, I just want one point of clarification because maybe for Catherine, because I did not participate in the meeting. Just
That's
want
right.
to confirm.
Yeah, yeah.
So what the rule is that if you can vote on approving the minutes if you didn't participate, as long as you read the minutes and have gone through them and are familiar with them.
Okay.
So if you feel like you can, you're not ready today to vote on them as well, you don't have to.
Yeah, you can abstain.
I will abstain. Yep.
Yeah, I believe we still have 9 of you anyway, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
okay.
So that passes. Okay. Any other business that anybody would like to discuss while we have the floor here? Great. Well, I apologize for the little snafu at the beginning. Hopefully I kept my mic on and did not mute throughout the whole meeting just in case it didn't come back like before. But I appreciate y'all hanging in there with me, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. It sounds like we have one case, so hopefully it'll be pretty quick. But yeah, if we can all do our best to make this and these meetings, that'll be helpful. You can see we're right at the edge here. So I appreciate you all being here and being present this evening. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Thanks.